Hello, family, and thank you for stopping by. Continuing on with the Unlimited Musician series, this is a topic called changing your palette. And it came into my existence in a time when I was living in Los Angeles, working at Musicians Institute, and I was in several bands that were trying to get signed. And through the process of one, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but in the old days when you would submit things to labels to be considered for being signed, you would send them your demos, and a lot of times they'd listen to them and go, oh great, send us 3 more. And you'd have to, like, maybe you had 3 in the can, so you sent more, and then they would listen to that and go, okay, great, send us 3 more. And it just seemed like, oh my gosh. And if you run out of tunes, you can say, well, we don't have any more tunes, but we were so hungry to be signed, we would just start writing more and go in and record and try to send them more and showing them what we could do. But it was fun, frustrating, because I found myself getting quite running out of ideas. And that's where kind of these concepts for creative exploration, which became Unlimited Musicians, came about. So there was one particular night, I was in my apartment in Los Angeles and trying to come up with a slap groove, of something new, something fresh, didn't sound like all the other demos I'd sent them, and nothing was coming out. And so out of frustration, I threw my bass on the bed and just went and took a break. And I literally kind of threw it. And what I didn't know at the time is that the G string, and by the way, it actually was this bass, the G string tuner had been knocked out flat. And so it was marked, it was now a half step lower than G. So now it was an F sharp instead of an open G. I didn't know that. So I came back and I started playing, and right away there was something new. And I was like, wait a minute, that was different. But I looked, and it was the same riffs I always kind of was playing, and it was frustrating. But it sounded different. So then I tuned up, and I was like, oh, man. And I was kind of bummed, like, I thought I had something. But then it dawned on me. I liked the different tonality. I liked having that different melodic element to my slap. So what I did is I recorded myself. Now, I used to, keep in mind, this is the early 90s. Musicians had recordings, like we had recorders. We had sometimes just a simple monophonic Radio Shack cassette recorder. Sometimes people had more. I had a MT44D Yamaha 4-track recorder. So quickly I recorded this slap riff. Now keep in mind, it was the same technique I was using, the same rhythms I was using. I was in a rut, but I was capturing that new melodic idea. So I got it on recording, then I retuned my bass. So I got that G back to G and not F sharp. And now this is the trick of changing your palette. I had to relearn how to get that note. So where I was normally playing note here, it was now here. So I had to go, oh, I can't use my middle finger. So then I had to change things. Now here's where the beauty happened. That was just like a new thing to change my hand position, which then I started going, oh, well, it'd be cooler to play this rhythm. And then what if I don't even play on the E string? And it was the one little spark that ignited this like tumbleweed of like process. And I started going, oh, this is it. And what I ended up recording at the end of that night was a bass line I'd never played before. New rhythms, new melodies, sounded cool. And so that got me thinking about changing palette. Now, I've always been voracious about reading other instruments, like Modern Drummer magazine was out. I read Guitar Player magazine still to this day. When Keyboard magazine, I could get it. I read that because I always find different instrument approaches can inform me. So I had read, I don't know if it was in Drum magazine or Modern Drummer, but I'd read a little thing about Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac. Got tired that all of his drums fills sounded the same, so he started moving his drums around. So instead of being small tom, medium tom, bigger tom, floor tom, he moved them around so that when he did the same muscle memory, it would have a different result. Likewise, there's a lot of players you may know, guitar and bass players, that change tunings. Now they might play the same technical patterns. They're still playing the same muscle memory things, but it sounds different because they've changed the palette. That's excellent. And I'm not demeaning that at all. I think that's great. I love the idea of changing your instrument around. I toured with a keyboard player who constantly was changing how the keyboard was laid out so that it was different. So instead of just being piano the entire way, he'd have a section that was a different kind of piano or whatnot, because it changed the way he played and kept him from doing things that were too familiar. But the key of changing your palette is to temporarily change your instrument. Then come up with something you like, record it, then return it to its normal state, its neutral state. Whatever you normally, like you might normally tune down every half step. All right, well, do that. Do whatever's the norm for you and relearn it. So a couple caveats or things to be aware of. Sometimes you might not be able to. I got nutty, man. I started changing all my tunings, playing stuff, and then putting it back, and I realized, oh, I can't do that. So don't be like locked on the idea that you're going to be able to emulate what you recorded when your instrument was altered perfectly. What you want to be aware of is new inspirations. Like you might not be able to do that, but here's something new that came about. God, it's just so exciting. So again, the basic steps, and this will be a shorter video because I just want you to get into doing it. But the basic steps are to find a way to safely change your instrument. You know, if it's a stringed instrument, mess with the tuning. If you're a drummer, mess with where your drums are located. Put all your cymbals on one side. Do something weird. Remove. Now this is another one. You can remove like a part of your drums, and so your muscle memory can't do that. And then listen to you playing and how you might have readjusted to accommodate that, and then put your kit back together and try to retain that newness. So anyway, so the idea is alter your instrument, record an idea, return your instrument to whatever its normal state is, and learn what you had recorded. I think that's I think there's so much there. To reply to a couple comments I've gotten, why don't I do more examples? Why didn't I like do this exact thing where I detuned it and showed you that line? When it comes to Unlimited Musician, I am hesitant to record myself doing the examples because I feel that some viewers might focus on that, and that's all they do is they try to do what I did. Instead, I want to give you the idea and just no preconception about what the result will be. I don't want to color that. I don't want to like influence what your results are in any way other than getting you started on the journey. Now, with that said, if you come up with like something or there's you're not understanding this, whatnot, please in the comments below say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you elaborate about this element or whatever it might be? I'm here to help, and I'm excited to help. It's my favorite part of the day is to be able to talk with musicians. Yeah, and if it's an instrument that you don't know how to alter it, maybe it seems like it can't be altered. Let's discuss it. Let's come up with some ideas. I've even met players who, like a piano, you don't want to start messing with the tuning on a piano, but I met some players who did a couple unique things. One is like put painter's tape on some of the keys, so you like blocking it off so you don't use certain keys, not allowing them to use any of the pedals under the piano. To some extent, and I get nervous about this, but I hear people like putting things in the strings, so like certain section of the piano now has some distortion to it. Again, so they would alter their playing and then record and then see if they can how they would adjust to be able to accomplish the same thing. So what do you think about changing your palette? I like it, and it's easier and easier now with all the new technologies. Your phone itself, you can just videotape yourself playing. I think sometimes audio is better than video because with video you might focus again looking at what you're doing physically, and chances are you're doing the same old muscle memory you always do. Just listen and try to figure out like how you can emulate your altered instrument in its normal state. Oh man, I love this exercise. I don't get to do it as much as I used to, and that's a shame. So hopefully this will inspire me to get back to it because I found so many new ideas by doing this, and I really enjoyed it, and it really broke me out of some boxes. All right, so there you have it. That is it. Change your palette experiment and let me know the results. I really enjoy the fact that musicians are gathering together, that we're kind of going over these topics together. I hope they help you as they help me, and I look forward to hearing the results. All right, I'll see you at the next video.